fraught and distressed voices in the distance, and a few minutes later, when the boys ran into two of their fraternity brothers, Chase and Aiden, Kyle dismissed his paranoia, convinced those were the voices he'd heard. Gathered together, Chase told the boys, "We can't find Jaden." Kyle bit his thumbnail. "Us either." Biting deep into the nail bed, he asked, "Where'd you guys look?" "Down by the lake," Aiden said. "You better not have cheated by going out of the boundary area." "If he did, I'll kill him," Chase said, planting his hands on his hips. Kyle knitted his thick eyebrows together and glared at Chase, who lowered his eyes. Oblivious to the exchange between the two, Aiden said, "You know how competitive he is. He has to win no matter what." Kyle ignored Aiden's comment. "We're headed back to the frat house. You guys gonna keep looking?" "Nah, we'll head back," Chase said. The four boys continued on the path, flattening the dirt, Chase and Kyle falling a few steps behind. With enough distance between the pairs of boys, Kyle leaned closer to Chase and in a barely audible whisper asked, "Do you think Jaden knows?" "No way." Kyle rubbed the back of his sweaty neck. "Then where is he?" Chase shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe he got the message." He glanced sideways. "Does anyone else know about the fight?" Kyle shook his head imperceptibly. Aiden turned around. "What's going on?" Kyle and Chase exchanged a forewarning expression. "Nothing," Kyle said. He wiped his muddy palms on his fraternity's button-down jersey, smudging dirt across the white fabric. After walking in silence for 10 minutes, the four boys arrived at a clearing in the woods, dumping them back onto the main road of the college campus. Cars rolled by at a steady pace. Waiting to cross, underneath the bright lights of the street lamps, Ethan, now able to fully see Kyle's face, asked, "Bruh, what happened?" Kyle dragged a mud-caked finger along his left cheek, tracing a long scrape. He shrugged. "Must have scratched it on a branch while looking for Jaden." Chapter 1. He rolled off her as she rubbed her hand down his muscular back, his body relaxed from pleasure. After 20 years of marriage, Nicole's sex life was still alive. She considered herself lucky, an anomaly in that department. She pitied those who weren't as fortunate. "That was amazing," Craig murmured, nuzzling Nicole closer into his broad chest. She twirled a strand of gray chest hair around her finger. "As always, my love." She breathed deeply through her nose, inhaling his familiar musky cologne. "Do you have to go to your lecture today?" She smiled and batted her inky eyelashes like a foolish schoolgirl. "Can't you stay with me all day in our bed?" "Big day in my class, and as much as I'd love to stay and study you, duty calls." He slipped from under the weighted duvet and plodded off to the bathroom, Nicole drinking in his nakedness. She smiled. The water turned on, and Nicole curled under the blanket, appreciating the warmth of the down comforter as the rain pelted against the bedroom window. Since she never returned to work after their son Kyle was born, she had nowhere to be, and now that he was grown, she was fortunate enough to laze around most days. Nicole had dreaded being an empty nester, not because she feared it being only she and Craig, but because she didn't know what she'd do with all her time since she'd dedicated her life to raising their son, including volunteering as room mom throughout his elementary years. When he entered middle school, she'd volunteered in the office, helping with attendance, admitting late students, and heading fundraisers. Even when Kyle had started high school, Nicole continued her volunteer work. Considering other women turn their noses up to the idea of not working outside the home, not being a contributing member of the workforce, or the family's financial stability, Nicole enjoyed being a housewife. She thought raising a respectable, responsible, successful young man was her contribution to society. Grateful for Craig's support, Nicole considered herself